everybody. Good morning. Oh no, it's actually good evening. This is Jean here. Late afternoon. In our state of bit of self-isolation, bit of quarantine here in Pennsylvania. Our family with this coronavirus scare has been pretty much self-isolating, as we have been asked, as we've been advised, as we've been warned. The news we have so far is perhaps the elderly, not a carte blanche statement, are a bit more affected, and that would be actually my husband and myself. We're a bit elderly. My husband's 72, and so he's very, very strong and fit. But as he works with our sons and in our own business, they have taken the wise decision to shut down shop in most of their businesses and go on a bit of hiatus and stay indoors. Nothing to mess about with. My husband did have to go out the other day, and he has a really good mask with a respirator on it. He actually wore that, sunglasses, hoodie. And it was interesting. Our other son had gone to the shop, and no one really, except a few older people, no one really took notice of him. It was funny. He was all kitted up, but we're not taking any chances. So I hope all of you are staying safe and being really being wise until this frightening scare passes us. That's what we're doing. Today we've just done some necessary chores, and I just thought I was going to do, I'm going to do like a question and answer. I was asking Maxwell if he would want to join me. He's not feeling all that great, so he's not going to be here, but maybe in the next few days he can come in and join us, because I know you enjoy seeing him. He's fine. My husband is fine. We're all healthy. But when I go and as you know, I read all my comments and I try to answer them all, because you're so kind to take the time and the energy to comment back on a video of mine, a particular video. As you know, I immediately block somebody who's nasty. Don't need that kind of negativity in my life. But that's become fewer and far between. It's really, really nice. But I thought I'd do a question and answer, just some of the more recent questions that I've received in my comments section. And there's no rhyme or reason to them. I just jotted them down as I just sort of scrolled through a couple videos I had. So this is it. The last question and answer, you wrote in and Jen and I did a specific question and answer. But I haven't seen Jen. Actually, we're going to be, her family and ours is going to be getting together tonight via Skype over the internet just to say hello to one another, because as Jehovah's Witnesses, we meet quite frequently, and we haven't, obviously. All assemblies, conventions, meetings, ministry work, cart witnessing has been canceled, obviously for the good of the public and for ourselves. So we miss each other, but we're just going to have a chat tonight and see each other over the airwaves. So some of the more important things, is the quilt show on? No, it's not, obviously. The AQS has canceled all of their quilt shows, or the quilt shows coming up, and then the other quilt show in Lancaster, Pennsylvania has also been canceled, obviously. Gatherings over 10 people, or gatherings, that would exclude our entire family. Our boys have been checking in with us. There's 34 or 36 people in my immediate family. That's just children, spouses, and grandchildren. And it's funny, our oldest son, he raises chickens, and he bought us last night at a distance, 6 foot apart, social distancing. He bought in, he's like, hey, Mom and Dad, they bought us some eggs. That was really lovely. He and his little girls bought us some eggs. They wrote me such a beautiful, beautiful note. I'm going to actually get it. Excuse me. This is you. If you followed before, you'll have seen our one granddaughter, Sophia, and she has 2 little identical twin sisters. This is, dear Nana and Granddad, here are some eggs from our wonderful chickens, just to help you with these hard times, hard to deal with. Even if we can't give you hugs and kisses, just think of each egg you eat as a kiss from me, Rion Phoebe. We love you so much, and I can't wait to see you when there is no sickness or death. Love, your Sophia. P.S. Enjoy your eggs. Oh, such a sweet child. So that was our eggs we got last night. Our boys and our daughter's taking care of us. Now the next question. Oh, when do you get your glasses? These, as you know, I have a million of these reading glasses, which I need, but I went to the eye doctor 2 weeks ago. Somebody said, oh, I don't know, I'm going to take them off because somebody said they're really glary. But these are my regular 2.0 readers, but I need glasses. And I went to the eye doctor and had my test. I do have to have, because you were concerned, the drops put in, it was the second part of the eye test, the drops put in my eyes to dilate to see if there's any retinal damage. I had to cancel that because of all of this, because they didn't do it in the first half. So I'm going to go back as soon as possible to get that test. But I'm going to be picking up, they're going to be ready, supposedly, tomorrow, Wednesday. Or was that tomorrow? Whatever it is. On Wednesday. Or Thursday, the 19th, whatever it is, to pick up my prescription glasses. So my million readers, which I quite like, I did pick out 2 frames, and again, that's a couple videos back. They're so expensive, ridiculous. Let me see. Oh, okay, he's not here, but Maxwell, he has his headphones on. Did you like this yeah, that's it. Did you like the smoothies with the chocolate syrup? It was okay. He made a smoothie and he put chocolate syrup in. That's a couple videos ago, and I didn't like it. I thought it was horrible. But he's like, it was debatable. How many pounds are your fabric weights? Again, a few videos ago, I was putting my weights, which somebody had suggested, to hold my fabric, my quilt on my cutting board. So they're 5-pound weights each. So I'm getting my workout while I'm holding my fabric. This was an interesting question that I often get asked. How much, when I'm purchasing fabric, how much fabric do I buy? Now, obviously, if you've seen my sewing room, you will see I have millions of yards of fabric. My general rule is I do everything big and large. We have 10 children. We do big. I err on the cautious side. If I like a fabric, I'll buy 2 to 3 yards. That way I figure I can get some blocks out of it in addition to some other fabrics, and maybe I can get a small border. If I really like the fabric, I'll get 3 to 4 yards, 3 to 5 yards perhaps. Then I can get a nice border, a bigger border, and nicer blocks, and maybe have some left over. If I really love a fabric, or need a fabric for backing, obviously, I will get 7+ yards. I can have fabric I can have the backing is the same as perhaps the border. I don't do that a lot, but on occasion I do, and 7+ yards will give me that option. I wrap it up on my comic book boards, as you have seen in my other videos. That's how I store my fabric. I do like to buy fat quarters in bundles. I like to buy fat quarters if I have a particular quilt pattern in mind. Like there's a very famous pattern, the Yellow Brick Road. Very, very simple pattern that uses, I believe, 12 fat quarters, something like that. So I do buy fat quarters. But I like to buy yardage more. I like the versatility of yardage. A lot of people like the pre-cuts, which are charm squares, 5-inch squares, 2.5-inch strips, jelly rolls, 10-inch squares. I like 10-inch squares also. Let's see. Oh, somebody asked, again, random, how do you cut and make a round tablecloth? I have only done it once, and I did that years and years ago. Obviously, to make a round tablecloth, say for a 36-inch side table, or even if you have a 48-inch diameter across table, you would have to piece your fabric. Yes, you would have to piece it a length down you would have to have a length comes to the floor, on the table, and down to the floor, and pieced it on either side. A lot of fabric. And then somehow you have to cut a circle. I did it ages ago. And I mean 30 years ago I made a tablecloth. It was too much hassle. You can get them around here for cheap. So you can do it, but I think it's not worth your while because it takes a tremendous amount of fabric. And fabric's expensive. Oh, do you like your Martelli cutting mat? I love my Martelli cutting mat. Martelli, I guess Martelli.com, which I was sent some Martelli things for me to do a sort of a product review. My friend Jen sort of set that up unbeknownst to me. I love my Martelli cutting mat. I am, however, an old dog, and sometimes you can't teach me new tricks. I tried and tried and tried to use their ergonomic rotary cutter. I could not wrap my head around it. It was not comfortable. Only because I think I have been using a standard rotary cutter for so many years. I say that because my friend Jen, she purchased a ergonomic Martelli rotary cutter, which is best for carpal tunnel, best for, you know, thumb stuff. It's an easier method to hold, apparently, ergonomically. She loves it. She loves her Martelli mat and her Martelli cutter. I love my mat because I have the largest one, not inexpensive, but it's the only mat I will ever buy, I think. It is like brand new, and I do a lot of cutting and quilting on it. And it's reversible. And I find the markings absolutely spot on, and it's a little bit bigger. It's like an inch bigger on each side. So I've had Ulfen, I've had Dritz, I've had all sorts of cutting mats. They're okay, but I love my Martelli cutting mat. I think it's a cut above. Oh, why don't you make a flanged binding? My last video, you're seeing me going to bind my sampler quilt. And somebody said, oh, I loved flange bindings. I had no idea what a flange binding was. So I looked it up, and I was looking on YouTube at a Jordan Fabrics, Donna Jordan, who's awesome, doing a flange binding. And it's 2 pieces, and you turn it over, and then you can machine two contrasting fabrics. You turn it over, and you can machine in that ditch there. Turned out beautifully. And I loved it. I thought, oh, I'm going to copy that and do that. The only thing is I round the corners of my quilt, and I was thinking, how easy would it be to turn those bits of fabric around a curve on my corners. Now, when I curve my corners of my binding anyway, I don't do it biased, as I have done maybe 4 different videos of you seeing me do a curved binding. That will probably be my next video. Again, I'm going to do it again on my quilt to show you how I put a binding, machine binding around a curved corner. But I was thinking, how would I do the flange, which is a little bit heavier, one more seam in it, and also at the very end when she goes to before she turns it over and machines it, how you do the flaps, the ends to put it together, because there's seams there. So she unpicked it and then did one and then did the other. You have to look. And I thought, it looks a little bit hard. And I've never done one, so I probably won't. I may challenge myself. But thank you for that. This person loved flange bindings. More power to you. Oh, Annie, how long have I been collecting fabric? And if I could show some of the fabric that I have been collecting. I have been collecting fabric for about 25 years. Most of the fabric that's on my shelves are about 5 to 15 years old. I started quilting 15 years ago, hence my quilting fabrics. When I could get fabrics, and I believe I've addressed this before, when I could get fabrics at $3 and $4 a yard, $5 a yard, I bought a tremendous amount of quilting fabrics. And I have so many of them left. And now fabric, as you know, everywhere. Australia and UK, Europe, you know how much fabric is. My fabric would, I'll tell you, feed a third world country because of the cost to buy it now. I do have fabric, though, from actually it's 25 years old from when our daughter was born. We only have one daughter and 9 boys. When she was born 25 years ago, I started making cotton cutesy fabrics for dresses for her out of cutesy little print cottons, and I have some of them left. And then also I was gifted, and that's, again, I've been collecting fabric. I was gifted a bunch of I would imagine from the 70s, some calico fabric from from a friend's mother, like an estate sale, but I knew the people. And she used to quilt using these little dimity print calicos, very finely woven. Is it the best quality? Probably not, but I would imagine it's sturdy fabric. And again, if you've been sewing for a long time, you'll know what I mean. And I'm going to put a picture up of some of those fabrics that I have from that haul that I got, and some of the price tags. So my YouTube friend Annie in England, hey Annie, had asked about the, I had already addressed it, about the different fabrics, older fabrics she wanted to see. This is some of, I call them retro, only because perhaps these are some of the fabrics that I have that I've collected from either yard sales or, as I was saying to you, from an estate sale, that are literally they're cotton. That in this country we would have called like a calico. I remember in the 60s wearing little calico dresses, just cotton fabric that used to come in 36-inch wide widths. Now fabric obviously comes in 42 to 44 inches. But this fabric, now I wanted to share with you, I'm going to see if I can get it. Yeah, I want to get that. This is fabric. This is 49 cents a yard. Look at that. 3 yards for $1.47. Isn't that funny? The label's still on it. Isn't that funny? And again, it's a nice quality cotton. I think, again, and this is probably from the 70s, maybe a slightly not quite as soft as perhaps the newer fabric, but I think older stuff is much better than new stuff. This is a beautiful one. This reminds me sort of almost of like a curtain. Oh, here's one of a curtaining. It's not a hat. It's a cotton, but maybe like it's a nice sturdy cotton, but it's not like drapery quality. And again, let me just show you here. This was more expensive. This is 89 cents a yard. 3 yards for $2.67. Isn't that funny? Look at that. This is actually quite beautiful. This is a very nice fabric. Let me see if it doesn't have the date on it here. No, this one doesn't have, although this is Cranston Printwork, so that's not, maybe that's about 12, 15 years old. But these fabrics, if you are quilters or sewers or seamstresses, you will remember from the 60s and the 70s, these tiny little prints, even the early 80s, these tiny little calico prints that sort of made up the quilting world. These prints here. Again, yeah, let me just see. This is 1987, this fabric here. Again, just some older ones. This is a little tiny yellow print. They were smaller prints. I do believe now that fabric obviously has, the fabric industry has boomed into glorious prints. Now we have digital printing and photographic printing, but fabric has really come along, and we've always had beautiful fabrics. And again, I quite like the quality of this fabric. I think it would hold up very, very well. Having said that, perhaps the color fastness in a red, maybe the red dye wouldn't be as stable. But even with a newer fabric, I always do a dye test. I would take warm water, maybe hot water, and rub it with a white fabric, white scrap, to see if it would run. Maybe this dye wouldn't be as color fast and it would run, the older fabrics. Again, these are just some of the fabrics I have. This is a fabric that I made my our daughter a dress from. This is some of the last fabric I had. These little sort of almost like a colonial print. These were from. Oh, here's fabric. This fabric, maybe this is a little bit newer because this was $3.59 a yard. So that was a little bit, maybe from, I would say the early 90s, $3.57. And again, some really quite beautiful cotton here, solid. It's not a poly cotton, although it's very, very soft cotton. So anyway, Annie, I just wanted to share that with you. Here's some more little prints. And again, they're nothing to write home about. The fabric nowadays is stunningly beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, bold, gorgeous prints. But these older fabrics, they just bring a smile to my face. And so I treasure them. Whether I'll ever use them or not, maybe. But I treasure them and keep them close to my heart. Now, I just wanted to show you. I'm going to take my camera off. Let me just see here. I'll be right back, and I just want to show you something. So yeah, I've taken my camera off and shown you. This is obviously, if you've been following me, you've seen my fabric wall. I'm not going to go up my ladder right now with my camera, but I have my blues up there, which I don't use a lot, my stripes. But this is the fabric I can get to right now. And I just wanted to share with you, like I have my fabric sort of in like different genres. Obviously, they're color coded to a certain degree. There's my pinks, my blacks, my solids, my yellows, golds, lavenders, creams, blues, and greens. I just wanted to show you some of the ones that some of these fabrics are perhaps 10 years old. Here's some of my pink ones. This fabric I know I did get from Joann Fabrics. That's about 10 years old. That fabric I had made two different little quilts out of this fabric here. Just so lovely. This here, again, that I made a dress for our daughter. That is about 22 years old, this fabric here. This fabric, again, I do remember, that's an old fabric, perhaps about 20 years old. Almost like a gingham, like a tablecloth check. Again, some of you who have been quilting for a while, you'll notice that the prints, this is an older print. This is an older print here. Some of them are newer. These are newer prints, obviously, the whole Paris thing going on. My ladybugs there. Coming up here, these were older prints. A fabric store locally went out of, no, not a fabric store, more of like a craft store went out of business, and they had sold fabrics, and I had gotten that fabric. Do you believe I remember these? This is an old fabric that I would never use because it would run terribly. That would bleed all over the place, but it's beautiful. Let me see. Again, some of these are newer fabrics. This is an older print here. I remember that. These as I said, these are between 4 and 10 years old. Some of them up there are older prints. Some of these plum fabrics here, that's a little bit older. This one, let me see. This one is older. This floral print. I used to do a lot of floral prints for our daughter. Make pretty dresses for her. Let's come over here. This is a fabric I used backing for about 4 of my quilts when I first started sewing, and I would say that's about 12 years old. This fabric, I just have a little bit left. I made Jen a quilt with this lavender here, and I backed it with this, and I used some of these lavender prints for her when she got married. Oh no, when she had Ethan, so 15 years or so. Here's some smaller prints that I have. Oh, and there's an alligator. or crocodile, whatever it is. So these are some prints for you, Annie, to see my fabric collection. These are my oranges. Oh, a lovely friend gave me this fabric, which I don't know what I would ever use because it's like a poly knit with a beautiful sequin. She got it, I don't know where she got that, maybe overseas, but that's a beautiful art in itself, that print. This is an older fabric I have here. And then these are some holiday fabrics that I have, not old. But then coming down here again to my reds, which I love. Red is my favorite color. This fabric here is very old. Again, if you quilters know that this fabric has been around for a good 15-20 years, this watermelon print. Because obviously now with printing, there's millions of different fabrics. But back then, as I was showing you before, it was quite limited. Quite a limited selection, really. Yeah, so there's some fabrics up there, my sort of shabby chic. Again, when I started quilting, I think I told you before, I was a quilting rep, a representative who was friends with my husband of fabric companies, had given us, or we bought from them for pennies on the dollar, a lot of their like shabby chic fabrics. They're up there. And then here. Oh, some of you might be asking, what is with the crayons? What in the world, Jean, is with the crayons? Okay, let me just tell you. Any of you who were raised in the 60s would realize that a Crayola box of crayons that was more than 24, if you had a 24 box, or if you had a 48 box, right? That was like the Holy Grail, okay? Well, I always wanted a 48 box of crayons. Well, as I got, and I never got it. I always had a 12 pack. When I started quilting, I just went to a store and I bought 24 crayons. Well, our son Jordan came in one day and he bought me this 64 pack of crayons. I nearly died. I'm like, oh, not to be outdone. Our son-in-law, Justin, came and he bought us 96 crayons. They've never been opened. I would never ever use them. It's such a precious thing. And then I actually saw on Amazon 120. I'm like, what? This to me is like, oh, it's just so beautiful. But these two, our sons were looking after us. That was so sweet of them. That was so sweet. They bought me crayons because they knew how special it was. And oh, we've just put this up. This is our little magnetic board for when the little granddaughters come. It's we just sort of stuck it in here in this corner. It's a magnetic chalkboard. It has all of these magnet words. It's fun for them. It's just fun. And I just started making some letters here, some sentences. The Rose Garden feels like a summer's dream masterpiece. What is this one? We want friends like you. We need to sing and worship together. I appear old, but love can always appear young. And then the friendly approach must always feel positive and bring happiness. So that will bring lots of delight when the little grandkids come, little granddaughters come. So anyway, that's some of our lovely fabrics. And again, I just wanted to share that. This is an older print here. I remember that. That's an older print. This is an older print here. So Annie, you wanted to see some of our fabric up close and personal, and here's some of them. This is some more fabrics I have. And yeah, we're very blessed. And there you go. Isn't that true? Friends are like fabric. You can never have enough. Another question is, Where do you start quilting your quilt? I was showing you folks how I free motion my quilt. The latest videos, if you're new to my channel, is I'm free motion quilting my sampler, my red and white quilt. And I started, for demonstration's sake, having pin basted on the end, on the side. My general thinking is, if you pin based or spray based or hand based your quilt very well, that you can pretty much start anywhere. Having said that, I usually like to start quilting on my machine, any size quilt. And as you know, I've quilted king size quilts on a small machine. My larger machines make it easier. I go to the center of my quilt. It makes only sense to do the hardest part, and then you move out to the edges. So if you have a king size quilt, which it could be 100 inches wide, say, you're having to get you're having to get 50 inches of quilt into the throat of your machine. It's hard. And I don't use any kind of rolling method. I scrunch it. And excuse me. We'll get this. Oh, I think that's for the end of my question. I scrunch it, and I scrunch my quilt, and I shove it. I just keep it loose around the needle, and I have done large quilts on my machine, starting in the center and then working my way out to the edge, making it easier. So a lot of people do that. They start in the center of their well-basted quilts. Your quilt really needs to either be pin-basted very well or spray-basted. And as I had addressed it before, I have never spray-basted a quilt. I personally don't love the idea of spraying indoors without proper ventilation or glue. I know it's water-soluble. I know it's a very, very popular method. Awesome. I've never done it. So I don't know how well the quilt will hold up to the wrangling that it takes to quilt. I have always, from day one, since I learned how to quilt from books, I took no classes. I read books and magazines on how to quilt, and most of the method was either needle and thread, which, as you know, I don't like needle and thread, hand sewing, or a pin basting. So over the years, I've gotten my large safety pins, which I have shown you. So that's the answer to that question. I think that's about it for now. Just a little question and answer here. I wish Jen were here. We're going to see her a little bit later over the airwaves. Maxwell says hello. Ian, my husband, has been doing chores. He's going stir crazy. He's a worker. He likes to work, keep himself very busy, and he's very fit. But he works with our children, and they have shut down their businesses. Very wise. We're sticking close to home. We have enough toilet paper. What is that all about? Right? It's just so funny. We're taking this very, very seriously. The advice from the government, whatever comes, we are taking it seriously. We're hunkered down here. We are going outside on the deck and getting some sunshine, doing things outside of our home. We have 5 acres here, and we only have a neighbor way over there and way over there. So we're getting some things done in our new home, which again, a couple people have said, how do you like your new home? As you know, we've downsized from our larger home to this house, which was our son's. Our son and his wife bought a lovely big home, much bigger than this, and we've moved in here, and they've really made it possible. A large weight has been lifted off of our shoulders. We have not sold our other home. We are in the process of renovating it. My son's construction team, are in the process of renovating it, bringing it up to the 21st century, because we raised 10 children there. So it was very much used and loved, and it needed some work. But I think I've shown you a lot of pictures. So like all the wallpaper's gone, the floors have been refinished, the kitchen has been painted. it's beautiful. The staircase, they put beautiful wrought iron and did all the treads and new carpeting. It's upstairs. It's beautiful. It's really coming along beautifully. My sewing room and my library and a bedroom, which were in the garage area. We had turned our garage into living space because we had a large family. They have been taken away and made into a beautiful oversized 2-car garage with garage doors. So that house is almost done, a little bit more, and then that will be sold. We have a beautiful home here. It's just lovely. It is taking some getting used to. We lived in our house for nearly 30 years, and we raised our children there. But I mean it when I say I count my blessings every day. I didn't ever really express the want. I almost sort of just in my heart, I knew, and I had a lovely big sewing room, a lovely big bedroom, master bedroom, and a warm home. That's what we had at our other home. And I never even expressed that to anyone. Well, I have a big, beautiful sewing room, a beautiful master bedroom and bath, brand new, and our home is toasty warm. We have a wood stove, which we always have had, and it's just a comforting, warm house. And as I say, I count our blessings every day for this lovely home. It's this whole virus thing, however, has made us a lot of nervous energy just lately, the last 10 days or so. So I've not really been sewing a lot. I'm nervous, but I'm going to calm down, take one day at a time, and I want to start to really start to sew and do some projects. But it's taken me a while. We were very, very, very tired redoing our home to how we love it, and we're thrilled. Yeah, so that's my little video for today, my little question and answer. My glasses. Oh, I just wanted to tell you also, the doctor, I forgot to mention it, the doctor for my eyes had prescribed omega-3 pills or eating more fish, nuts. So I did get some supplements of some omega-3 plus D3. And then some drops for my dry eyes, if you remember that video. I was diagnosed with extremely dry eyes. I was saying before my eyes used to be all bright. They're not anymore, but it comes with older age, as you know. And the fact that I do need glasses, my eyes are being strained more so than just needing my readers. So I'm taking my omega-3, I'm putting the drops in for dry eyes, and I think it's helping. I don't know. And I got so worried because I read something that as you get older, your eyes shrink. I mean, why can't my body shrink, right? Like, what the heck do my eyes have to shrink? My body's getting bigger. My eyes are shrinking, right? And I thought, oh, because I used to have really, really big eyes. I look back on my pictures when I was like that 9, 10, 13, even my graduation picture. I had these wide staring eyes. Now my eyes are sort of, shrinking. Never mind. So that's that. I just wanted thank you again for all of your wishes, your kind wishes. Please stay healthy. Please stay indoors if you can, if it's viable for you. A lot of people have to go out to work, obviously. We're okay for just a little tiny while, and then reality might set in. So we don't know where this is going to go, but we're thinking about you quite seriously. Please take care of yourselves. You've all been very, very kind to me and my family, and you're my friends. You really are. We love it so much. And we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. So anyway, thank you so much, and we will talk to you later. See you later.